tired. So tired. Overtired.
Hello, everybody. This is Overtired. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Severance Gunzel, and I just got out of my pre-podcast shower, and I'm here with Christina Warren and Brett Terpstra. Hello, friends.
I have always said that cleanliness is next to podcasterness.
Podcastliness.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Wait, Christina, why don't you tell us where you are? Because people can't see, but I can tell you're not where you would be normally.
Yeah, I'm not where I would be normally. So I'm in Atlanta. I'm at my parents' house. My mom's birthday is today, actually, as we're recording this. So happy
birthday, Mom.
Happy 75th
Happy
birthday, Mom. Very, very happy to be here with her. So I am in the bedroom that I stay in when I'm at their house. So I'm basically like in a nice, like it'd be like if I was at like a nice Airbnb. Basically.
Nice.
You're 10 years younger than me, but your parents are the same age as my parents. Did they have you really late?
Yes.
Is your sister older?
Yes.
Okay, so are you the youngest child?
I'm the baby, and she's older. And then my parents were, frankly, they were older when they had my sister. So
I mean, my parents were older when they had me. So your parents, I can't do math, but
yeah.
that's pretty advanced.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, well, my parents were 24 and it did not work out. Something to be said for waiting a bit.
Yeah.
Here we
I'm the oldest, but my sister's only 6 years younger than me.
So none of you have steps or anything like that? You're dealing with the original set?
Yeah, original set, OG rents.
Yep.
Rents.
Yeah.
I just had an amazing stepkid experience so my mom was married twice, and the second marriage was when I was like end of junior high, beginning of high school. And I had a stepbrother and a stepsister at that time. We didn't get along, any of us, but somehow after their parents and mine divorced, my former stepbrother and I became like inseparable. We started hanging out. He's 5 years older than me. We started hanging out. We started taking road trips to New York to see bands. We started a band. We made an album. We toured together for a couple of years. Like, we became completely inseparable. And in the process of that, I became close with his grandparents, which had nothing to do with my family or my stepfamily, and his mother, who was like kind of vilified in our family wrongly. And so I sort of built this whole weird separate family. And about 3 weeks ago, my brother, who lives in Brooklyn, came to town and said, "Hey, I'm cleaning out my mom's garage. Could I get a hand? Could you help me?" So I go over there because I love his mom and she loves me. And I'm sitting there and I'm cleaning out my mom's ex-husband's ex-wife's garage. And someone comes by, like a neighbor, and she's like, "Oh, have you met my son, Frank? That's my stepbrother, former stepbrother." And then she looks to me to introduce me, and we both just smile at each other because we realized there's like no name. What she was trying to do was introduce her ex-husband's ex-wife's son, right? Like, there's no name for that. And I just felt like this is exactly what it's like to be a step. Like, it's so confusing. It has no fucking rules, right? Like, there's no prediction as to how it's gonna go. So anyway, you pick your family, I guess.
Yeah. I have no idea what that's like.
I would say I don't either, because like my parents have been married for 50 years, but like literally. But like April was their 50th wedding anniversary. But
wow.
But I love that like you became close with your step siblings like after everything happened. Like that's just so fascinating to me.
It's super weird.
How did you even stay in touch? Because like this is just me guessing how I would act. I imagine that if I had step siblings and then we didn't get along and then we were no longer related, like by any measure, you know what I mean? Like we had no reason to even have to be around each other. I cannot imagine even like being around the person. I think that I would just be like, that would be where I would be like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to not ever see this person again.
Yeah, well, that is how I think it would normally go, because it was my older brother, who's my stepbrother. Like, he lived with us on and off in the 5 years that our parents were married. But he was just kind of a dick to me. And he'd handcuff me to the dog kennel or whatever. It's like total older brother shit.
Right.
But for reasons I still don't fully understand, and he doesn't either. We just tried to revisit this. A couple years after the divorce, he invited me out to dinner and to a show, and we ended up talking, into the early hours. And he kind of went, "Whoa, this little brother of mine's kind of cool." And I was like, "Whoa, this older brother of mine likes me." And we just started hanging out, and we don't really understand why, but I did come to realize recently that, and he kind of, I think he basically agrees that this must be it, is that we actually didn't know how to say it or feel it exactly, but we grieved the loss of that family. Like, yeah, we may not have been close, but we were very typical younger and older brothers.
But you were family, right?
Yeah,
like he like he was a dick to you, but he was your big brother. He was a dick that way. And it probably would have been a thing. And again, I'm extrapolating here because I've never had a brother. I've never had steps, but I would imagine that like how he treated you, if he'd been blood related, would have maybe been less annoying to you. You know what I mean? Right. Like you still would have been annoyed.
It's kind of like when you have a stepdad you don't like. You're like, you're not my fucking dad. It's like, you're not even
that's
my
what I'm
brother.
saying. It's like,
you're handcuffing me to a dog kennel?
It's like, who the fuck are you? You're not my brother. Yeah, exactly. Because like my sister sucks. I mean, she doesn't. But like when growing up, like she would do like shit to me and I would do shit to her too. But, like she's my sister. And I can say she sucks. If someone else says she sucks, they're going to die, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm allowed to talk about it, but no one else can. But I have to imagine that if it was somebody else who, like, I had no blood relation with, you know what I mean? Like, wasn't born and raised with, and they were like that, I'd be like, okay, genuinely, who the fuck are you?
Right.
Do not handcuff me, right? So, totally. but I think you make a good point, which is that, like, everybody kind of grieved the loss of, like, that more familial, like, unit and that experience. And I'm glad that he was at least able to, being older, like take the initiative to reach out and do that, and that you guys have a good relationship.
Yeah, because the only thing we had done prior to that, between the divorce and having dinner and going to a show, was he came over before going to Europe, and he traded me. he brought all his Pat Benatar records, and he goes, "I'll trade you these for your backpack," which was my school backpack. And I was like, in a heartbeat, I was like, fuck yeah. Like I literally gave him my backpack. I had no other backpack to go to school, which says a lot about how I felt about both rock and roll, Pat Benatar, and school. And so we made that swap, and then we didn't talk for a long time. But the official thing is, when we realized how tight we were, we did the pinprick blood brother thing. And that's not recognized by law, but it's it's the reason that most people that know us as brothers and don't even realize. We just decided to say we're brothers now. So
yeah, no, I totally. And also, the pinprick thing it is recognized by like playground law, right?
Yes, like totally, which is a vicious kind of law.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Blood.
This summer has made me realize how much I'm not close with my siblings at all.
What do you mean this summer has made you realize?
This summer, both of my siblings came for 1 week stays in town with my parents. So I only saw them a couple of times while they were in town. But man, my brother is unbearable. Like, you want pretentious? You think I'm pretentious? You should meet my brother.
Friend of the show, Brett's brother.
And my sister I love. Like, I think my sister's great. A little religious for my taste, but we just, with a 6-year difference and me going off to college before she was even in high school.
Yep.
Like, we were never close. We barely know each other. And I enjoy her and her husband, and her daughters are fantastic. They're just great nieces. But I've realized we don't connect in any kind of real way. It sounds like you are way closer with your stepbrother than I ever have been. Your former stepbrother than I have ever been with either of my blood siblings.
Yeah. It's a blessing. Where do they live? They're spread throughout the country, or just
Wesley's in Atlanta, and Lana's in like somewhere in Ohio, Dayton, maybe. I don't know.
Home of the Brewers.
Her husband works for the Department of Defense, if I recall correctly. He does laser shit. He's an engineer who does laser shit, and he loses me very quickly when he starts telling me about work. Yeah. But we get to talk about like his company, like his organization within the company kind of adopted this startup mentality, which I've been through before, when you're in a large corporation and your team starts doing Scrum and stand-ups and you're just like, yeah, there's a reason I don't work for startups, and I don't need that in my corporate life.
Laser scrums, though. Laser
right?
scrums. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we had a good conversation. We went for a hike. It was I like Joe and Lana better than I like the rest of my family, and I still feel like I barely know them.
Family corner.
Yeah.
We totally just did family corner.
We totally did just do family corner. Yeah, I could. Yeah, my sister and I, it's similar. Like, we're 6 years apart. We know each other, but like, neither of us would choose to be friends with the other one if we were not related. But since she has had the baby, we are closer. And like I said, like, I can say she sucks. If someone else does, then I'm going to be mad.
Right.
I don't know. It's more complicated, I think, but there are some similarities. Certainly, I can relate to what you're saying there. I think the big thing for us is we're just very different people, and we always have been. And we're both headstrong, and we're both like opinionated, and so we're very different. But we have that similarity, which means you're going to clash.
Yeah.
Totally.
Man. Does this segue into a mental health corner pretty well?
Sure, but can I just say that because I have post-shower hair, I've got kind of a Kaneki from Grease thing going on?
Yeah.
My hair
kind of.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I love Kaneki. In fact, my stepbrother played Kaneki in Grease. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
See it all full circle. I love it.
Wow. Mental health corner.
So, Jeff. A theme song?
Yeah.
I actually... So the software we're using to record does have a soundboard, and I've considered figuring that out. The thing is, if you don't play a sound when you start, when it gives you the final tracks, it doesn't start the soundtrack track until you play the first sound, so nothing syncs up correctly.
Oh, weird.
So if we were going to do it, we could easily just play the intro music that I usually insert in post. We could play the intro music, do the intro, and then have a soundboard. And transitions to sponsor reads, transitions to mental health corner or gratitude could all have theme songs.
Someday.
And I kind of like the idea. I just haven't gotten the technical aspects of it figured out yet.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'm kind of into it. I will say, like, you're the musician. You two are the musicians. Like, I'll let.
We should get Aaron to pitch in and write theme songs.
Yes.
For friend of the show, Aaron Dawson.
Yes, yeah. Aaron, we are just volunteering you now. We pay you. Like, we're just volunteering your time to do this. But yes, that would be.
Aaron is a very talented musician. It would be. We could pair. I could pair.
Yeah, we're rolling in money.
Yeah,
give us some of that sweet sponsor buck.
We got 3 sponsors today. We
give us some of that sponsor coin.
Some custom music. Speaking of, should we do a sponsor read before? No, we'll do mental health corner, and then we'll just pile on the sponsor reads.
Then we'll just do sponsor central. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sponsor Central.
Yeah. And
Sponsor Island.
And we'll make up some theme music as we go. Yeah. All right. So,
oh my God, what if we played island music all the way through the sponsor? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What is island music? Is like the
the steel drums.
You got
drums.
Be some Animal Crossing type of
little
stuff,
Animal Crossing vibe. Exactly. I always thought our podcast should be more like Animal Crossing.
I mean, same, to be honest, because Animal Crossing is the best. But
I've never played.
I know.
I've never played Animal Crossing.
Oh,
I know.
Man. Is that
I just played 3s. That's like, that's it. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, I got one. I can start mental health corner up.
All right, you start.
I am just like, I don't even have so I take medication like anybody at certain times in the day. And I have never successfully had a system that has me taking my medication at the same time in the same point of the day every day. I can't get it right. Not with reminders, not with pill organizers. It's always I'm off by an hour every day or something.
Can I tell you about Medisafe?
Is this a sponsor?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's this app that I use on my phone, and I get notifications on my watch and on my phone that it's time to take my meds. And if I don't acknowledge it within half an hour, like it sends them every 10 minutes. And then after half an hour, it uses the emergency notifications to play the sound of a pill bottle shaking to let me know that I have completely missed my med window. So I'm never more than 30 minutes late taking my meds. And it has worked for years now.
So alerts and even those kinds of alerts don't work on me. I just brush them off and get pissed off. Yeah. They just piss me off. Like, because the thing is, it's not, there are no real consequences to me taking my meds a little late, right? It's just that what I would like to be doing is taking them, and I'm told this helps, taking them consistently at the same point in day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and like I have not. I used some app with my watch that did a similar thing like that, and it worked some of the time, but not all the time. Because sometimes what happens to me, and I don't know if this is like some internal resistance to be worked out with my therapist, but sometimes what happens to me, I'm like, no, not now. I'm not going to take my meds now. I'm doing something else right now.
That's so fucked
I don't want to be the guy that has to take meds right now. I think that's part of what must be going on in my head. But
so no app can help you, is what?
No, man, no. It's just like maybe it's because
you rebel against the very idea of a schedule.
Yeah.
I can sort of understand that because I can be similar, but I do have to wonder. I mean, okay, you're saying that there's not like consequences or whatever, so I get that. But is it that like it's too much effort for you to grab your pills then and do it, or what is it? Because like if the pills were right there and you had like water right there, would you take it? What is it? Is it just being told you have to do it? Like what's the holdup? Because I would think, because I can be similar, but like if my pills are right there and if I've got water, then I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Right. The big problem is in the daytime because I am very, even if I have a schedule I'm following, my brain is very scattered through the day. And even when I'm taking my ADHD meds, like I'm just all over the place. And so actually it's very easy for me to go, oh, I got to take my meds. And because I do have a reminder at least once, like, oh, I got to take my meds. And then I just like totally forget for an hour that I haven't taken them. And sometimes on weekends, I can not take my meds until like well into midday because I just keep forgetting. But it's like, I mean, for me, the way I've experienced what I think is ADHD is like, it's something that makes no logical fucking sense. It's like, how is it possible that I was going to do this thing and then I completely forgot I was going to do it until 3 hours later, right? When I remembered, I was like, how is that possible? Like it hurts my brain, right? Because I am a systems person, right? Like I do have systems and I have a need to organize things and I'm quite good at organizing things. But I have this part of my brain that just resists that or is totally unable to sort of come along. And that's the part of me that I think causes me to take meds at different times. Night is different. Like at night, because what I take makes me drowsy. I sometimes am like, it's like, it takes about 30 minutes for the meds to kick in. And I may be like, it's 9:30 or 10:30 or whatever. I'm like, well, I should take my meds, but I don't know that I want to be tired in a half hour. That's another problem. Right. So anyway.
The night ones I can't really help you with, but the other ones, I guess what I would say is like what's helped me is just like making it as accessible as possible. Like, if I know where I'm usually going to be, and then if an alarm goes off or whatnot, then like it makes it that much harder for me to just ignore what I need to do. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, actually, you're making me realize I'm sitting here with my pill thing and I'm a half hour late on the pills.
That's the sound that Medisafe makes.
Why don't I segue to somebody else while I take those pills?
Yeah, I was going to say, take your pills.
Who else has some corner talk?
I can go.
Yeah, you go.
So I had that like long period of what we called hypomania. Mm-hmm. And I am now having a long period of hypodepression where I'm just like, I'm sleeping too much. I'm having trouble getting going. I'm having trouble starting things, but not in this complete block kind of way that I've run into in the past. Not in this, like, I just can't do anything. It just takes me a little extra work right now. And honestly, I can live with this. Like, you know what I get like when I'm stable and I'm like, oh my God, I miss being manic and this is horrible. And I don't feel like I can do anything because I'm too stable. Like, if I can have just mild mania and then mild depression, I feel like I could sustain this. I should, like, this is absolutely not medical advice for anyone, especially anyone suffering from bipolar. Like, don't take me too seriously. But like, I can live with this. This is livable, I think.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This last streak without any manic episodes or any real low episodes, was that the longest that you can remember?
Yeah, but I have a very short memory. I have like an ADHD memory, and like I have stomach issues, and when they start up, it would be really helpful to remember what I ate like 2 days before, but I don't. I don't remember. So for me, like, the present is like all I really have. So yes, the 4 months I went through of stability was the longest I can remember in my memory. But I also had 2 years where my ADHD meds got cut off, and that led to long periods of stability. There were still manic and depressive episodes in there, but I'm pretty sure during those 2 years, I probably had an equal amount of stability. I don't remember.
I ask because having listened to you kind of check in on that spell that those months that you didn't have any manic episodes, and you're starting to talk about how you sort of miss having a manic episode, or made you kind of feel like hints of desires for drugs that would make you feel high or manic. And I was wondering at the time, and wonder now, is that a phase of a long period of no manic episodes that you might get to the other side of and go, oh wait, I'm not feeling as strongly that. What is my identity without mania? Or, because that's what I feel like I heard you saying, is like, who am I without mania?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's accurate. And I don't know what's on the other side of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. How could you know? Yeah.
Maybe. But then I had a manic episode and it made me fucking happy. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I think what it is like, you're used to it, right? Like, the mania, right? Like
it's the devil I know.
It's the devil you know. It's predictable. You've found ways to make it work for you in certain situations. It's not debilitating where you go into almost like a psychosis sort of thing, whereas some people who have bipolar do, right? Like their mania episodes are not things that are useful at all and can be really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
Yours aren't. And so if it's not sustaining and it's whatnot, like, you almost also, I mean, if you're honest with yourself, you probably enjoy the high a little bit, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
Right. So for you, I think it's something that you understand. And then if you don't have it, you wonder, okay, well, am I going to have the ability to be creative and to get things done and whatnot without it, right? Like what is it without this?
Mm-hmm. What was there was I can't remember if it was a show. It was Anne Hathaway as a bipolar. I think it was an episode of that.
Oh, Modern Love.
Modern Love. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I related to her in that show. I thought that was a spectacular example of the kind of bipolar I experience. When I'm manic, writing a line of code that works gives me this huge dopamine burst. And then I'm away from my computer and all I want to do is get back to my computer and write another line of code. and it's highly productive and not at all dangerous. I'm not spending money. I'm not hurting relationships other than maybe not participating in them. But like, it's very productive. And yeah, I've heard what other people go through with mania. I've seen it in other members of my family, and I'm grateful that I don't have that kind of psychosis and binge spending and like destructive behavior. I don't have that. And for me, it just kind of, it works. Nope. Yeah. I can't complain. I feel like Elle said it this morning, like my career is kind of built on my bipolar. Like everything that I have is the result of things that I've accomplished and things that I've done as a result of mania. And we talked about this, like how I don't know, who I am without it.
Right.
And Christina was pretty insistent that, you know, I am a perfectly productive human being without mania. I have not proven that yet.
Well, you are perfectly productive. It might not be the same though. I'm just saying, like, I'm not
excessively productive.
Right. I'm not saying that you, I'm not saying that like, and I just say this from my own experiences of being like, who am I if I don't have the depression and whatnot? Like, you are still you, and you can still get things done, and you're still creative and whatnot, but it's not going to be the same. Like, and now it doesn't seem like it's something you've had to worry about because you have this. But I do always worry anytime anybody says, and I worry about myself when I say these things, like, who am I without X? Because that becomes like an existential question. And I think that a lot of times we assume, we make correlations between things that we've always known about ourselves and give them credit for things that they shouldn't get credit for.
I read this really fun. It was an Instagram story, but it was all of these collections of writings about how we pick up aspects of our personality from people we love, even just for a heartbeat. Yeah. And if you take away all of the heartbreak in your life, you're left with an emptiness. Not that you are less of a person, but if you take out all of the heartbreak, you're left with these voids that people try to fill with more love and more drugs and more work. And it really made, this is irrelevant to what you were just saying. It's just like something about this not knowing who you are without X. Like, it made me realize, like I have picked up some affectation or some belief or something that gives me pleasure from every relationship I've ever had or been in, whether sexual or romantic or just friendship. And those have all become like a real part of me. Yeah. Like, they definitely add up over time.
One of my favorite...
Or relationship with drugs, relationship with mental health. Yeah,
absolutely.
One of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite books ever, although the book hasn't aged particularly well, but I still love it. Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. The quote is, "Nothing of me is original. I am the combined effort of everyone I've ever known."
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that. Saying. So yes. the scene is the two main characters are writing, or they're actually at the top of the Seattle, where I live, the tower. What is it? You know, the stupid
the space
needle. Thank you.
The needle of space.
Yes, they're on top of the Space Needle, and they're writing these postcards, and that have these things. And I think they're like distributing them out or whatever. But they write these things down. And anyway, I think that some of it is. It's supposed to be kind of trite, but I love that quote anyway. There's also one that's like, when we don't know who to hate, we hate ourselves. But you know, nothing of me is original. I'm the combined effort of everyone I've ever known. I think about that quote when you say that, because I feel a similar way. I think that's probably universally true for a lot of people, you know?
And everyone they've ever known. I mean, it's kind of this infinite, you know, it's just really quite beautiful.
No, I absolutely think that's true of every single human being. I think that's just how the psyche and relationships work.
Yeah.
But anyway, Christina, Your turn.
So, I guess so. I've been with my parents for a week, and I'm going back on Monday, and it's been really nice to be here. The dogs have had some. My parents' dog has had some health drama. He's okay, fortunately, but that's led to stress.
Good.
And my mom, ironically, it's been interesting. So my mom's, she's retired, but she's a therapist, and I've had to kind of play therapist for her this week a little bit, more of just a sounding board. And I credit this podcast a lot with it because I think that I have like better insights into some things. But she was seeing this doctor. She's going to get a different internal medicine doctor because this doctor is clearly out of her mind. Like what it is this doctor I'm sure is fine, but doesn't know her. And my mom is high strung, and my mom is like very type A, and my mom is like kind of a high keyed person. But so she goes in and she's read these things on her chart because they put everything on the chart before she goes in, and she's reading this stuff that she understands enough of to be dangerous, but doesn't get all the context of and is freaking out. And then the doctor, her first response is, "Oh, you clearly have an anxiety disorder, so I'm going to put you on Prozac, or I'm going to put you on other stuff," without even knowing her. And then my mom's like, I'm not going on this. And then she's like, "Oh, well, you need this, this, and this," and just like being very dismissive,
Jeez.
very kind of ageist also. And so I was just like, yeah, you probably are OCD, Mom. Yes, you do probably could benefit from anxiety things, but you're 75 and you've managed this well your entire life. And this is not going to be helpful for you at this point. Like, I've dealt with a lot of kind of my issues because I've had 20 plus years of therapy. It's different, right? Like you have managed, you don't need this. So it's sort of been interesting talking to my mom because in some ways it is sort of like looking at almost like a mirrored version of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, this is where I get a lot of my fucked up issues. And I mean that in the best way possible because my mom is the best person in the world. But yeah, that's sort of been interesting.
At home in the mirror.
Yep.
Yeah, I've become convinced that my father has ADHD, like has always had ADHD, and
Friend of the show, Brett's father.
Yeah, like I thought it would be interesting to see what he would be like now if his ADHD were treated. But also he's in his 70s, right, and he's retired, and he's done fine his whole life.
That's the
He's
thing,
had
right?
A successful career, and like, what's the point?
That's sort of the problem, right? It's kind of like, yeah, you've made this work. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, also, is it a good idea to give people in their 70s amphetamines? Probably not, right? Like,
right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like my dad is definitely ADHD, and I don't think he ever went on Adderall or anything with it, but he definitely is. But also, like, found ways to cope, and it's you can be kind of maybe sad to think, well, wow, maybe their life or other things would have been better if they'd had access to things. But at the same time, it's also a little bit affirming to know, and this isn't true for everyone because everybody has things in different degrees, but like, okay, you can, survive / thrive / whatever without these things if you have to.
Right. Can
I share an interesting note?
Please do.
That is only marginally related? As I am wont to do. A recent peer-reviewed study has shown that people suffering from ADHD do not have a lack of dopamine. We overprocess it. And serotonin, I believe. Like, we get our normal amounts of serotonin and dopamine from everyday life, but our receptors eat it up way faster than anyone else.
I mean, I'm going to peer review that right now. That has just like a logic to it that I really makes me laugh.
So, which means like we treat it with medications that increase things like dopamine, but if we could instead treat it by altering the receptors to behave in a more normal way, we could treat ADHD without stimulants, which is it's interesting to me. I do fine with stimulants. I think they're a great treatment. But if you could treat ADHD without stimulants, that could be groundbreaking.
Yeah, it could be great, right? Like it could be really good because I think that there are downsides to like the stimulant stuff, right? Like there are some very real things to that. It can
especially in young kids.
I was going to say, especially in young kids, and especially I think in people who might be predisposed towards, addiction and other things, and people who don't want their hearts to explode and all kinds of stuff. And that could be amazing. I hope that they do more research on that, and I hope that there are more peer reviews at the peer review thing, like to figure stuff out. Like it'd be really good to see.
And in recent years, it has become so difficult to get stimulants,
right?
And it has become such a taboo for a doctor to prescribe stimulants to anyone of any age. And if ADHD treatment could move beyond the requirement of Schedule 1, Schedule 2 drugs, then we might see a broader treatment of ADHD, especially in vulnerable populations.
Yeah, that's actually very true. And actually, if I can go on one rant real quick before we go into sponsor Island. Okay, so something changed, actually talking about ADHD stuff, because it was a pain in the ass. So right before I left Seattle, like I went to get my meds filled, and this was like August 1st. And I went to get like a refill of my medication, and they couldn't fill it because on July 26th, the DEA changed a law where they had previously allowed doctors or pharmacies to add your address, birthday or whatever to your prescription manually. Now your doctor has to write it in their own hand.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned this last week.
Oh, I mentioned this last week. Yeah. Well, I'm going to rant about it again because
it's crazy.
It's totally nuts. And then I had to, because it was a pain in the ass for me to then get my stuff filled this week. Like my shrink mailed it to my house. It was fine. My parents' house, it was fine. But then, it was a problem of like finding a pharmacy that had the number of things in stock. And then you can't call, like the pharmacies can't call internally to find out if the other ones had the drugs. You have to actually, as the patient, call all the different Walgreens to find out who has the thing in stock. So that's my continuation rant from last week. I forgot that I mentioned that last week.
No, and it's just, I mean, I had actually forgotten about that detail, and it's something that I feel like has got to have a lot of people in your situation right now.
Yeah, and so I guess the update from that, because we didn't talk last week or whatever, was that I talked to my shrink. He didn't know until the 26th either. So the doctors didn't even know. Like they made this change and didn't bother to tell anyone who could have been impacted, right? Like I was annoyed. I was like, well, it would have been nice if Walgreens or whoever had like emailed me to say this is updated. He's like, yeah, it would have been nice if doctors found out too. It's like, no fucking shit. Like, what the hell?
That's crazy.
You're going to make this massive change, which is going to affect tons of people. And then, like, if you see a doctor who can, like, if you're in the same state and they can transfer it electronically, like, that's fine. But I'm not in the same state. And that's, especially with all the COVID stuff and people doing virtual appointments, that's not uncommon, right? So, anyway.
Right. Ugh. That is maddening.
This leads into our first sponsor.
Welcome to Sponsor Island. I'd like to take you over here to ZocDoc.
What should our theme music be? She's like just some dude beatboxing.
Yeah, exactly.
With the like
sponsor. Yeah.
You could do like an underwater sponsor read. If you're every line of the Ferris wheel is up.
Oh, I like it. Sorry. I like
it. I'm sure they'll be fine with that.
All right. Well, this episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. If your doctor can recite every line from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, as Jeff was just saying, but can't remember your name, Bueller, it is time to get a new doctor with ZocDoc. And ZocDoc makes it easy to find quality doctors in your network and in your neighborhood. Plus, with real verified patient reviews, you can find the right doctor for you, one that actually remembers your name and doesn't just call you like Simone or something. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. On ZocDoc, you can find every specialist under the sun, whether you're trying to straighten out those teeth, fix an achy back, get that mole checked, anything else, ZocDoc has you covered. ZocDoc's mobile app is as easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivery to your house. Search, find, and book doctors with a few taps. Find and review local doctors, read verified patient reviews from real people who make real appointments. Now, when you walk into that doctor's office, you're all set to see someone in your network who gets you. Go to ZocDoc.com to find the doctor that's right for you and book an appointment in person or remotely that works for you on your schedule. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc. I'm one of them. I've used them for years. I'm actually about to use them to find a gastroenterologist because I need to have I think I might have an ulcer. So I'm going to be using ZocDoc for that. It's definitely my go-to whenever I need to find and book a quality doctor. Go to ZocDoc.com/overtired and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/overtired. ZocDoc.com/overtired.
God damn, that was
Thank
a
you,
great
everybody.
sponsor reading.
Thank you. Now we'd like to walk you over to the other side of the island to simply. Go ahead, Brett.
Today's episode is brought to you by Simply Safe. Here's a question. Is there anything that matters more than the safety of you and your loved ones? Of course not.
Of course not.
So isn't it strange that many home security companies don't act that way? This is why we use and trust Simply Safe Home Security. Their advanced security technology helps us sleep at night, and they always put our family's safety first. Here's why I love it. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. Simply Safe's monitoring agents truly care about your well-being and are highly trained to help you keep calm and safe during stressful situations, staying on the line with you until help arrives. Simply Safe's customer-first policies make sure you're taken care of with affordable plans starting at less than $1 a day and no long-term contract or hidden fees, because feeling safe at home shouldn't break the bank. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/overtired. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. Go to simplysafe.com/overtired. That's SIMPLISAFE/overtired. And now to Jeff, who is the TextExpander.
But there's no copy.
What there is? It's literally in the.
Oh, wait, where?
Yeah, I don't see it either.
All right. So let me tell you about TextExpander, because apparently Quip is failing us.
I can change the font. It's all white.
Oh,
white,
it is all white. Yeah, it is. So
I changed it white because I use Quip in dark mode.
So this is where Quip is just a failure.
Quip,
man.
Quip. Not
Boom.
Today's episode is not brought to you
Absolutely
by
not.
Quip.com.
It's not brought to you by QuickTime. God damn it. Let's just do a whole episode of who's not sponsoring our show.
Definitely not Quip. Salesforce is messed up.
Okay. Sorry, I was over there in the outhouse, the Tiki outhouse on Sponsor Island.
I got to tell you, when I did the Q&A panel at MacStock, when we had Mike Rose up on stage, we asked, so what exactly does Salesforce do? And he gave a spiel. Like he sounded like he knew what he was talking about. And I gotta say, I came out of it still not understanding what Salesforce does. I do not know what Salesforce is or does.
We don't work in sales or with customer acquisition stuff. If we did, we would definitely use it, as everyone does. But yes.
They have a tower. There's a huge building for this. Anyway, Jeff, please.
All right. I would like to tell you all about TextExpander. What would you do with more hours every month? Oh my goodness, that could be the rest of the podcast. Repetitive typing, little mistakes, searching for answers. They're all taking precious time away from you, killing you with tiny knives, stabbing. You and your team. With TextExpander, you can take back your time so that you can focus on what matters most in your business. With TextExpander, you and your team can keep your message consistent, save time and be more productive, be accurate every time. The way we work is changing rapidly. Make work happen wherever you are by saying more in less time and with less effort using TextExpander. You'll never need to copy and paste repetitive responses again. With TextExpander, your knowledge will always be at your fingertips with a quick search or abbreviation. Here's how it works. Drop your commonly used content into a TextExpander snippet and give it an abbreviation. Share your snippet with your entire team. Just type a few characters to trigger your snippet, and the content expands anywhere you type. It is that easy. TextExpander is available on Mac, Windows, Chrome, iPhone, iPad, Windows 95, DOS. They got it on DOS 6.
DOS 6.
Overtired listeners get 20% off their first year. Visit textexpander.com/podcast to learn more about TextExpander.
Awesome. Can we talk about, we haven't talked about media for some time
I know.
now.
Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Mixed media.
So there's this show. I just found it on, what was it, Hulu? I think. Yeah, Hulu a couple
FX
weeks
show
ago.
on Hulu.
Yes, exactly. An FX show on Hulu called The Bear. And I watched the first episode. It's about a restaurant. And it's about the kitchen and the chef's lives. And it was so stressful that I did not think I could stick with it. And I watched the first episode. I'm like, it's too much yelling, too much stress, and I'm kind of done. But it got under my skin. And by 24 hours later, I was like, I need to see what happens next. And within a week, I had finished season 1 of The Bear. And I am delighted to find out season 2 is already confirmed. Jeff, good. I know you just finished it. What was your impression of the show?
Well, yeah, just to say that the show, what's interesting about this show is, and there've been shows in the past that take place in the kitchen that handle food and food service and restaurant life and whatever else. This one is super interesting because it's the star of this show, the chef, was, running one of the best restaurants in the world in New York City, and came from a family that ran like an Italian beef joint in Chicago. And just a little tiny hole in the wall place that, everyone's loyal to and has been going to since, before their dad went before them, their mom before that, whatever. It's like got history in this little corner of Chicago. The owner of that particular restaurant is this chef's brother, and he commits suicide and leaves the restaurant to his brother, who he had never allowed to work there. And so his brother leaves his life in New York and comes to this family Italian beef place, like pretty convinced he can save it, but is really just like grinding through his grief, basically, in kitchen life. And it is all close shot. The kitchen is not large because it's like a little Italian beef place. There is so much there are so many types of people in this tiny kitchen. So many little stories, so much energy. It's also close shot. It can be really overwhelming. Even after that first episode, I feel like there are episodes that reach a kind of climax in these close shots in this small space that can be kind of hard to take, but you're so in love with the characters.
Yeah, there was even a single shot episode. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one that was pretty much one take.
I didn't notice that. That's amazing.
I can't remember which episode it was, or I would tell you. I did find out that beef sales in Chicago were up in a statistically significant fashion after this show aired on Hulu.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's amazing. Well, so here's something that that we can all kind of connect around. What I loved about this show is that I didn't know who any of these people were as actors, and they were all phenomenal. Yeah. It's a perfect cast to the person. There's not a weak link in the entire thing. Nope. And it is so also wonderful to watch a show about a kitchen where there are no really beautiful people. Right. And the thing that's driven me nuts, my wife talks about this all the time, especially in kitchen movies and shows, you always have some beautiful woman, love interest or sous chef, and then this like totally dopey dude. and that's like a thing that happens in movies generally. So the dudes can be dopey, but the women can't be dopey, right? No. And I'm not saying there was anybody dopey in this thing, but there were there were no beauties.
It was a straight up Midwestern cast.
It was lovely.
And the super macho, like
Yeah.
the guy that the character development of his character was outstanding. Like I have never hated and loved someone simultaneously. Well, not never, but it's been a long time in a TV show since I have had so much spite and compassion for a single character. It's an outstanding show. And like Jeff said, like every character in it has a story, and you find yourself wanting to see how every story turns out. And there's no way they could wrap up like every story with a neat little bow. They do an amazing job of wrapping up the season without having to like tie a bow on everything. They come up with a way to finish the season. Kind of felt like they weren't sure they were going to get another season. It felt like they needed,
that's clearly how it ended.
Yeah, they needed to end the show. And I'm very excited to see the next phase, because they surpassed the initial hurdles. Like the whole time you're like, I can't wait to see this restaurant succeed. But there's no fucking way that by the end of the season, the restaurant's going to succeed.
Right.
That's
not really what restaurants do.
It's going to survive. And that is by the end, that's what you're cheering for, is for the restaurant to survive. And
you think you're watching a Muppets. It's got a Muppets movie kind of architecture to it, where like this isn't spoiling anything. Early on, they get a bad rating from the health department, and you're like, oh, I get it. I'm in a Muppets movie now. We're going to spend the rest of the time figuring out how to get that, but that's not what it is. And that's just such a beautiful thing. And also, I just have to say, I kind of wish more shows that were not guaranteed a second season would wrap as if they weren't guaranteed a second season, because I've been burned a few times and it makes me so, I mean, I like live with the shows in me that were canceled too early, right? Like I can't stand it.
So you're going to watch it, Christina?
Yes, I'm going to watch this. Actually, it's funny because my friend Alex was telling me about this. Her brother works in the restaurant industry, and I think it was like maybe like too close for comfort in some ways there.
Yep.
But I definitely am going to watch this. So you both have convinced me. I'm very excited to watch this now.
I have a friend who's a head chef at a restaurant and said that it was the most realistic portrayal of an actual kitchen that he's ever seen.
Yeah. We're hearing about it. I think it reminds me of the book a little bit. The Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential, which became a TV series, which did not last very long, with Bradley Cooper, actually. It was on Fox. It was a sitcom, and it didn't last very long. But the book, Kitchen Confidential, was my introduction to Anthony Bourdain. Probably was a lot of people's, because I mean, I was 18, so there was no reason for me to know who he was other than that book. But that book is really great. And the Audible version he reads, and it's great to kind of hear his take on all that stuff. But I'm looking forward to watching this now. So thank you very much for the rec.
That is absolutely, I'm proud to give you that recommendation. My other show on the list is Sandman, which apparently you guys aren't the Neil Gaiman fans that I am. Like,
well, I am. I just haven't had time. I've just been busy.
Yeah, I'm not judging. I just, like, for me, like, I counted the days until the release of Sandman, and I had it off by a week in my head. And so, like, that Friday came around and I was devastated that Sandman was not out for a whole nother week. It is extremely well done. If you have read the comics, you will be astounded by how well they translated the Sandman artwork and the Sandman plotline to the big screen, or whatever size screen you have in your apartment. But even if you haven't read the books, it retains all of the magic of Neil Gaiman's storytelling. I will wait, and we'll see if you guys find the time to watch it, and then we can discuss further. But I will say it is an outstanding adaptation of comic to screen.
Okay, I'm excited about this thing, because these are always the questions that you have, right? Like, that you have, like, okay, how much are they going to mess this up or do this right? So I'm glad to hear that you're saying that they've done this right.
Yeah, well, and Neil Gaiman was integral in the creation of this.
Yes, which is always a good sign, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be good.
It's thus far, American Gods, Good Omens, like the stuff that Neil Gaiman has actually had a hand in.
Agreed. American Gods is great.
Come out spectacular. Yeah, great stuff. But anyway, that we kind of mental health and TV. We filled an hour.
Can I say one last thing about the pair?
Yes,
please do. Oh,
I don't have much insight in being a chef, but I was a dishwasher from age 16 to about age 23.
Oh, Jesus.
And I mean, among other things, I was in punk rock band and mowed some lawns. Nope, none at that point. Anyway, there's a point where they're lightly considering a new dish that has risotto in it, and one of the things the chef says to shoot it down is that the dishwashers will be pissed about the pans. And I was like, yes, they gave the dishwashers just a little bit. You're like,
anyway. Yes, we will be pissed about the pans because you're burning all this.
This is realistic.
You're like this is burning everything to the sides. All these rice, all these rice grains are making it a pain in the ass to scour.
Yep, you're goddamn right. Anyhow.
Okay, you guys got another 10 minutes in you?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Raptitude. Who wants to start?
I could start. I feel like there's always one of us that needs other people to start.
I was going to say, I definitely need you to start.
What we're gonna pick.
I definitely need you to start.
I've totally been there. I've totally been there. So I'm choosing Name Mangler by Manytricks.
Yeah. Didn't you have we've done? I feel like you did this or you did Renamer.
No, one of us did Moom in terms of Manytricks, but I may have done this. I'm worried about that. I had done it, but
we made that rule. We can repeat.
I've been using it, and so Name Mangler is just this lovely interface for like batch renaming files, and you have similar to like Hazel, you have just a ton of different options for how it's going to act on a file name based on whatever conditions you set. And the reason I brought it up this week is I'm trying to come up with a naming convention for a project. And I love using Name Mangler to play around with naming conventions because I feel like you can actually stress test a naming convention by using Name Mangler to rename just a bunch of sample files that you're going to use in a project and see how it all looks. And so I love it. I love using Name Mangler. I use it all the time. I know you can do this programmatically. I've done that too. But I actually just love the interface. Like it's just a wonderful interface, and it makes me think. The interface itself makes me think more critically about how I'm going to handle a name change. And like I'm just someone who takes that shit really seriously. Like naming conventions really matters. Yeah. I just don't have one naming convention that always applies to every project, and so I was in that situation.
I am pretty adept at renaming files like from the command line. Coming up with little loops and scripts that will rename files, but nothing is better than an interface that lets you see exactly like set up your
what your options are.
Yeah, exactly. Set up like, am I going to do a regex replace? Am I going to change extension? Am I going to append a sequential number? And set all that up and then see a preview of how it's going to affect all your files, and then just hit the run button and you're done. And there are multiple apps that will do this. Name Mangler is among the top, definitely available apps. Forklift has some renaming capability built in, but Name Mangler is classic and top notch. Great pick.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Hazel, that's actually my pick for the week.
Nice.
Hazel is an app, a Mac app that watches for file and directory changes and then can act on those files. And you can build sequences using a graphical interface to act on those files and perform anything you want to perform. For example, if I save an image file to my desktop that contains 2% signs, it will then process that image in various ways. So I can save header image %% oh.png, and that will optimize the image and create a half-size version of it and name one of them at 2x. If I put a C, percent OHC, it'll convert it to JPEG. And this is all like scripting that I've done, but it means that if I want to prepare an image for use on the web, I can just add percent to the name. And Jeff and I have done some automation for his kind of day job that is very reliant on tags and devices being plugged in to automate processes in kind of the interview workflow. And Hazel there's nothing else that compares. There's no other app that does what Hazel does. And I think it's definitely worth mentioning.
Awesome. I love Hazel.
And kind of speaking of scripting things and automation stuff, my pick this week is FastScripts from our friend Daniel Jalkut. I love this app. It's kind of like a supercharged version of kind of your Apple scripts sort of thing. And if you're somebody who runs a lot of scripts in a lot of places, it can be really, really good. And it's just an app that I always want to get more into scripting than I am. And this is the app that kind of can probably get me there the closest of anything. And I like how its library works. I like how the keyboard shortcuts
work. You can add a keyboard shortcut to every one of your scripts.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. The way that it can like do like the context switching is really, really good. And then what's nice about it too is that it'll work with like Apple Script or with like Automator workflows. Like it'll work like with whatever kind of scripting thing you're wanting to work with. So I'm a really, really big fan.
I wonder if I don't know if he's integrated shortcuts into it yet.
I don't think he has, but I hope that he will. I think that would be awesome. I'm sure he will.
Jalkut's a genius. He'll
Jalkut's amazing.
If it's doable, he'll make it work.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he can do it, he definitely will.
This is the Mars edit.
Yes.
Guy.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And also Black Ink, which if you you want to do a good crossword puzzle app, that's a good one.
Ooh.
Like for making your own crossword puzzles?
No, for solving. So it's like just like
solving.
It's just
I thought you could make your own too.
I think you can also make your own. But it's like I use it just to like play like puzzles from like the Times and other places.
I'll admit I've never actually used it. I have so much respect for Daniel Jalkut as an Apple developer.
Yeah, he's like one of the OGs, like, you know what I mean? Like of the Delicious Generation Cocoa era. Like he's like one of the OGs and one of the best. And just a great guy too. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We could just do Daniel Jalkut as a pick.
We could, honestly. I wouldn't be mad at it. He's a great guy.
All right, so Overtired has a bunch of new channels. We're on Instagram. We've long had a Twitter account. We have a new YouTube channel, and full episodes are being posted to YouTube. So if you're listening on YouTube,
my cooking show.
Thanks for joining us, and Jeff's cooking show. And we are also starting up a newsletter. So if you want to get your name on the list and get a free email newsletter, check the show notes. All of these links will be in the show notes. You can sign up for free, get something like the gratitude. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to put in the newsletter yet, but you'll get some extra special show note links and maybe some. It will not be mental health advice because we are not qualified to give that. But
maybe some of Brett's dad jokes for premium subscribers.
When is the guy with the little snake going to show up? I don't know, but it shouldn't be long.
Oh my God.
You're welcome. All right. Hey, you guys get some sleep.
Yeah, you too.
Get some sleep, boys.
The system is going down now.